future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart, updated daily. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby. The game changer is here. Card Ladder.
Josh, are you flexing a 2019-20 Mosaic?
You know I am.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
Card shop
Yeah.
dead. Oh, that card's nice. Very nice.
I'm not above grading and flipping.
It's a LeBron, and it's 2019-20, and it's short printed. So what's that, like 20K?
In a couple weeks it will be.
Thank you, Jordan. Carbon, what's up? Cookies and cards. We got the whole squad in here tonight. I'm displaying the classic 61 Michael Jordan 1998-99. See, this is why Christina is not in the room. 1998-99, numbered to 61. And I figured what a time to show off this 90s but vintage infused Michael Jordan card. Am I right? Because vintage is red hot right now.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Lord
Okay.
be.
Welcome to the crossover. Today is July 10th. The NBA players are in the bubble. Carvin says, where is the UD love? Fair question. Fair question indeed. We got plenty of love for Upper Deck. Okay, so Josh doesn't even know this, but today is my birthday.
What?
And I am 34 years old. Ripe. Yeah, shout out
Wow.
Carvin. Carvin is the architect of Exquisites, of all the great Upper Deck products. But yeah, and I bring that up because Christina got me a present. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to open it. So I'm going to have Christina in front of the camera. So I'm going to have Christina open it really quick. Thank you, David. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Yurge. Yes.
Well, thanks for telling me, bud. I've been texting you all day like nothing's happening. Happy birthday.
That's why I don't make a big deal out of my birthday, but I figured I could make a stupid gimmick for our Friday night show. And I don't know what
Carmen asked and answered.
Christina got me hockey cards. Or these must be the, okay. 2017 National Day. This must be the
Free.
the stuffer. Thank you guys for the birthday wishes.
Close your eyes.
Oh my God, let's just see it.
Oh.
Nice. Okay, so this is a box of 2019-20 Court Kings. The birthday gift. Thank you, Christina.
She knows what you like.
I guess so. I'm in negotiations with a guy who has the Luka 1 of 1 on eBay right now. He had it for $3K OBO. I sent him an offer of 1,000 auto reject, 1,500 auto reject. I sent 2,000. He rejected it, and then he put the price to 5,000.
I bought this, just so you're aware, before the 1 of 1 was listed on eBay.
You were hoping it might be in
I
there.
was hoping it was.
All right, and then one last plug. Every week we're giving away one pack through Card Ladder of the 2019-20 Prism Cello packs. We're giving away one per week. All you have to do to qualify is post a picture of you adding a card to your collection and tag Card Ladder. That's all you have to do, and you are entered to win. We just gave away one of these packs today. They're worth about $50. So really easy to enter. Okay, enough. Let's get on with the show. So, Josh, let me ask. So we just looked at the LeBron mosaic. And then what's the card to the right? That's a Pulsar Lamar Jackson. It looks like.
Yep.
Okay. Any particular occasion for these two?
These are the only cards I got this week in the mail. I've been busy this week, so I didn't buy a lot, but a couple other cards I bought that aren't here yet, so this is all I got to show.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'm going to open it up with a question here. I see the chat is active already. What's up, guys? You share a B-Day with the great Jared Dudley. Well, I can't hold a candle to him, so. David sent in a terrific question that I've been thinking about all day. I usually don't even send Josh questions. I just hit him with them when we record, but I sent him this one earlier today too. The question is, if you both had to pick one player that neither of you collect to sink $10,000 into right now, remember, it has to be somebody that neither of us collect. Who is it?
It's really, do we have to pick one? That's kind of my question. I have three.
Yeah, let's hear all of them.
Okay. So one is Anthony Davis. That's like my short-term play. I feel like Anthony Davis is going to really shine these playoffs. The team is going to go far. That 10K is going to get you, his prices are like a fourth or the fifth of Giannis. You can get a lot of good stuff of AD way cheaper than Giannis, and it's pretty readily available. And I feel like he's going to show out really well in these playoffs, and he's on, the top seed in the West, and his stuff is going to rise. Second, medium-term play, Lamar Jackson. So Mahomes is seeing all this love, rightfully so. Got this big contract. Medium term, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a huge year. He's going to bounce back. The Ravens have the best roster in the entire NFL. So I have been buying Lamar Jackson stuff, but I would put 10K more into Lamar Jackson if I had it. Long term, this is kind of like my PC long term. I'll go with Wilt. I've always wanted to collect Wilt. He just doesn't have that many cards. Like he passed away, in 2000, I think it was. So he didn't even get to the upper deck stuff. He doesn't have any upper deck signed stuff. He has 2 cards total, 2 sets that he's autographs in. And then he's basically got his rookie card, and everything else is, non-rookie. So he just doesn't have a lot of choices. So the cards that he does have are pretty rare. And I feel like that stuff would be a good investment long term.
Very nice. I see. I can't argue with any of that. Lori Collector says Donovan, AD, and Trey. Carvin follows up with Trey is choice number 1 for me for basketball. You guys must not know what Josh thinks about Trey. Luka Doncic PC says Mitchell Trubisky. Assuming he beats out Nick Foles for the job for my Chicago Bears. Rodman says Gorgie Ding has my money. Ludicrous Card says, I would never have imagined my 2012-13 AD would have been worth so much when I pulled it in 2013. So you've held it for all these years. Nicely done. That's something that's nice is when you hold cards. We have a question about this in a second. Cookies and Cards says, how about Magic Johnson? What do you think about Magic Johnson, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a good investment here in the medium term with his documentary coming out. And, same kind of thing. He doesn't really have a rookie card. He's got the triple, but he doesn't have a rookie card to himself. He's got a lot of upper deck autos, a lot of Panini autos. So he'd be pretty fun to collect, and seems like a decent investment right now.
I agree. And I'll throw Larry Bird in there too.
Yeah.
I saw Gary V make a post about this. It's definitely become more and more in the NBA historian, the contemporary NBA historian consciousness that Magic and Bird really made the NBA what it is today. And I love that for its historical value. And Bird, only guy to win 3 straight MVPs. Come on. The guy is a living GOAT. Luka Doncic says Baker Mayfield, right? Dude, Baker Mayfields are kind of doing okay right now. David says Josh loves Trey. Blindy 90 says Griffey. I like that. Griffey is extremely collected.
I want your answer. Let's go.
All right. Well, this question was ridiculously easy for me because who would I collect outside of my collection? My collection is only 2 players. Obviously, it'd be LeBron. When you look at the player ladder on Car Ladder right now, LeBron is the number 2 player, despite the fact that his cards have been like red hot for going on a year now. I mean, when you're outperforming all of the other players, even the hottest prospects, and your cards are already at such a premium, you get the best of both worlds. You got a super high ceiling on a guy who's still adding to his legacy, and he's cemented. It's safe and it's high upside, in my opinion. But I know that that's kind of a vanilla answer, so I'm going to give another answer. That is, it's such a hard zag that it almost becomes a zig. And the answer is, I like Christian McCaffrey as a potential buy.
Nice.
A guy to collect. Now, the reason why is he's such a fantasy stud. He's a really easy guy to root for. The pedigree on Christian McCaffrey is tremendous, from a whole family lineage of Olympians and professional athletes. So I really trust what's there. He's a guy who can almost carry a team, kind of like how Barry Sanders used to back in the day. But you need more than just a great running back to do it. But he's carried me in fantasy for several years. I just like following his career. And had I bought his cards when he first came onto my radar, I'd be up 3x, because I'm looking at his Prism Silvers right now, and they're trading for $350. I was thinking about buying some a few months back when they were like 120. So. So Blindy 90s points out that there's no long-term love for running backs. That's true. So, or at least it's
usually a good short-term play. He's like the consensus number 1 pick. He's a good short-term play.
That was my line of thinking. Wow, we have a lot of answers coming in here. Okay, we've got Connor McDavid. I like that. Connor McDavid is very expensive already. Sidney Crosby from Carbon. Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz cards have a long way to go before they're back to their peak, back when all the hype was huge surrounding him as a number 1 pick. But they're trending up right now. We'll see how long that lasts. The performance on the court, it has gotten better for him, but it's going to have to keep going up. My best cards came from Holding. True that. Josh Allen. Okay, I mean, dude, I had such high hopes for Josh Allen, and he was looking great in the playoffs last year until they kind of choked there on that final drive against who were they up against? I think it was the Texans. And I thought they were going to make it through, but they didn't. But people in Buffalo love Josh Allen. I know that from having been there. They're super high on him. Lori Collector says, what's up with this Tatum explosion, 7K to 50K? Feelings on current value. What do you think about Tatum's current value, Josh?
Seems like people are kind of speculating on the Celtics doing well in the playoffs, which they probably will. I don't know how far they're going to get, or if they'll get past the Celtics and the Bucks. That remains to be seen. But he's an interesting player. I think he has the potential to kind of be that next superstar wing player, like Kawhi, LeBron, kind of, body type, skill set, personality for the hobby. He's the right position. So he's definitely got a lot of that going for him. I always liked him more than Donovan Mitchell from that class as a hobby, from a hobby perspective, just because of his, like I said, his, body type and how it lends to the hobby, his height and his length and athleticism. He's a little bit taller than Mitchell. So I can see why people are excited about it, but it's speculation at this point. We'll see what happens when we get to the playoffs.
We will see. The playoffs are fast approaching. They're a few weeks away, and we are coming up on that time where performance is going to have to match expectations in order for hobby values to sustain.
Yes, it is.
So that's if there is one pearl of wisdom that I might imbue on this day, and take it for what it's worth. Take this advice for exactly what it costs you. But it's just a guy on an Instagram Live talking to you right now. But we are a few weeks away here from the season resuming, and we have a whole lot of people who are spending a whole lot of money in cards, but they don't necessarily have the hobby wisdom to back it up. And I'm not saying I'm some guru of hobby wisdom either. I've only been back in the hobby for a little over 4 years. But what I can say is that hobby wisdom is very clear on certain things. Number one, players who don't touch the ball a whole lot, players who are not ball dominant, they don't tend to do that well when it comes to values in basketball. And then big men don't get a lot of love either, and they never have. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't do pretty well. Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal, these guys have respectable card values. But the point is, it seems like a lot of hobby wisdom has been thrown out of the window because we haven't had to watch any basketball. We've just been able to speculate on what cards to buy, and we are just going speculation crazy, and guys are just surging because we're thinking they're undervalued and their stats are good and this, that, and the other. But things change real quick when it suddenly card prices become directly correlated to performance on the court. Just wanted to throw that out there. Not a bad time to sell certain things.
Sell your Embiid right now.
And your Jokic, I think, too.
Sell your Trae Young, because they aren't even going to be in Orlando. I don't know why people are buying Trae Young. You're not going to see him for another year.
Oh, shit. We got Josh going on Trae Young.
He's not even in the freaking bubble. People are like, oh, Trae Young's going to light up. No, he's not even going because they suck.
Right. Indeed. We got, oh my God. You know, this is amazing. The diversity of answers here just kind of speaks to how crazy the hobby is right now. Ovechkin, dude, Jeremy Lee of Sports Cards Live was schooling me on Ovechkin. I get it. Great player. Damian Lillard. Nice flex, Josh. The Lamar NT is Fuego. Gretzky, Carson Wentz, Kobe Bryant refractors. The Beard and Brody. The Beard, okay. Okay. The Celtics are getting knocked out. All right. Harden's RC are all beardless. Don't forget Siakam. Dude, Siakam cards have been on an incredible roller coaster ride here lately. Carbon says the Celtics can't beat the Raptors. Kemba is a ball hog and will take from his spotlight. There might be some truth to that regarding Tatum. Ross says, please hate on Donovan Mitchell. 8 Everlast says Jaylen Brown is a stud. Dude, the Celtics are loaded, and the rookie cards of Brown, of Kemba Walker, and of Tatum are all some of the hottest cards in the hobby right now as I just browse card letter and look at them and how they're performing. Oh, let's see. We got too many answers here. Jeremy Lin. Oh, Rodman says J.R. Smith cards invest. Okay. Okay.
That's our sign.
Yes. Yeah, that's when you we might be approaching mania when you see that. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you for the answers. All right, so I got something from Adam Lefko. Adam Lefko comes in. He says, as you climb the ladder, and this is kind of what we were just talking about, how do you decide which cards to sell when you think they all have growth potential? So, let me just give, one little take on this, then I'll pass the mic. Dude, one of the best parts about the hobby, in my opinion, is holding on to cards and seeing them appreciate and seeing, people come to discover them and love them and just being able to pull them out and enjoy them. I've had this card for some time now. I just love to take it out on occasion and enjoy it. That's one of the underlying fundamentals that makes me most optimistic about the hobby is that you just got people who love cars and they love to hold them. So if you really feel like everything has growth potential, just, maybe that's a sign to just say, hey man, sit back and enjoy your cards and get back to that's the fundamentals of this hobby is enjoying your cards and enjoying sharing them and everything else. So if you feel like stuff's going up, on the one hand, I get it financially, you might say, hey, it's smart to sell right now. But on the other hand, that's why we love to chase grails. That's why we love to chase big cards, is because we just love to own them and enjoy them. So that's my take on that. What do you think, Josh? He says, how do you decide which cards to sell when you think they all have growth potential?
It's pretty easy if you're a collector. You just don't sell because you're collecting. And then the stuff that, for myself, I'm either buying a really strong PC card or I'm buying a card that I feel is going to go up fairly short term so that I can sell it for profit and then buy a PC card. So it's all to like serve the greater purpose of getting more LeBron high-end cards. So I pretty much with the non-PC, non-LeBron cards, I'm selling when I kind of feel like I'm not gonna like make a lot more money on the profit in the short term. I'm not a big like, oh, I'll wait till another month and then it'll go up another couple $100. I'd rather sell and use that profit and try to do it again. So I don't try to like sell at the peak. I don't try to time it perfectly. I usually sell when it kind of feels right, when hype around a certain player is growing and I feel like there's too much zigging on a card and it's time for me to zag away. But that's like a hard question for a collector because like the LeBron stuff is like never, I don't buy a LeBron card with the thought of like, when do I sell this? I'm buying it because I want it in my collection. So I know that that's like kind of a big question for, new people coming in trying to invest. And I understand that's like probably the main topic people want to hear talked about is like when to buy and when to sell. There's not really a right answer, but I kind of like your answer of, if you feel like you like them all and you think they're all going to go up a lot, then just don't sell and hold it and enjoy it and try to build a PC around it.
100%. A lot of my collecting past is just littered with mistakes of selling cards that I wish I had. The only saving grace of it was that I used the money, like you said, to put it into something else that just went into the PC anyway. But you're right, dude. That is a big question a lot of people are curious about. And so like we kind of gave an answer a little bit earlier, but like, dude, speculation is super high right now. If you bought pretty much any card 3 months ago, it's probably doubled in value.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with locking in a little bit of profit before play comes back. But if you want to gamble a little bit, you're really bullish on a certain team, you're really bullish on Tatum or somebody or Luka or Trey well, Trey's not going to be in, but if you're really bullish on a player and you think they're going to just go nuts in the playoffs, then that's a way to lay your bets. But if you don't want to take that gamble, man, now is a great time, I think, to take some profits.
Totally. Now is a really nice time, unless it's LeBron, Jordan, I think Mahomes is still a really good long-term hold. I just would not buy anything Mahomes right now. Just let it cool for a little bit. His stuff is like on fire. And it was so obvious that was going to happen a couple months ago. That's why I bought a lot of Mahomes stuff, but I wouldn't buy any right now. If I still believe in him long-term. So if you're okay holding through it, his stuff is just like ridiculously on fire. So there's a lot of times when I know it's obvious not to buy just as much as I know it is time to buy somebody.
For sure. Cookies and Cards is, how do you factor a player's tie to their social media and audience when investing? Yeah, so I've heard some people talk about this. They will look at a player's social media follower counts and they'll say, look, this player obviously is important in pop culture and that seems to be a relevant variable in the price of their cards. And that's a neat and an interesting analytical approach. I think you can also just kind of suss that out yourself. Just take the temperature of the room, look at what the media is covering, look at how people respond to a player when you talk to your friends, when you read banter online, when you listen to the talk shows and stuff like that. It's kind of a proxy for the same metric, of measuring a player's impact in pop culture. Josh, do you look at that at all? A player's social media presence?
No, I don't. Because like Giannis has like a decent social media presence, but not much. Kawhi has absolutely zero. And those guys Anthony Davis doesn't have much. Those guys are really expensive, high-end players. People that do have a lot of social media presence, like Joel Embiid, their cards are cheaper. So I'm not sure I see a correlation. Michael Jordan's not at all. He wasn't even around in the social media era. Now he's not involved at all. So I'm not sure I see that.
Oh, that's a terrific counterpoint. And hey, if social media presence matters, J.R. Smith is about to blow up, isn't he? Okay. Ludicrous Card says, I'm holding on to some Kawhi Leonard rookie autos to see how he does long term.
I think Kawhi's a good investment right now. It's a good hedge against Lakers players.
Kawhi's a great hedge. I agree with that. Mahomie Card says, what's up, Jacob? He says, what do you expect if Euro soccer is the only sport we can watch this year? I'm just going to pretend like that's not a possibility.
There's your soccer.
I guess I might have to get into it. J.R. Smith all-time Coattails League Award. Carbon
Dude,
says,
people forget that he's still like
Oh.
loved that whole thing. Like he's such a dingus.
Carbon says, sell for a profit and don't look back. People can never buy at the lows and sell highs. That's so true. Jordan Hagedorn says, sell shit you don't love. I completely agree. Carbon says, if you love the card, keep it unless the profit can change your lifestyle. That's an interesting.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I like that a lot, actually. Like, it would get to a certain point where I would consider that myself, to be honest. Like, yeah, hopefully I never have to sell my LeBrons, but if it could change my life and alter it in a huge way, like, if things get much worse with this whole COVID thing or Trump wins again and I have to move to Canada, I might consider it then.
Yeah. Is there a life-changing amount of money?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. And then what do you do? Do you start back over again once you've, reinvested and started your new lifestyle, or do you just say peace to the hobby for a while?
That's kind of the issue with my genius plan is that the first thing I would do is be like, time to buy some more cards.
That's what I'm saying. And then, and then you just work back up to get the same cards. You just let go of.
The climb is the fun part, except climbing right now, I feel so bad for people trying to climb the mountain right now. It is just so hard because first of all, the good cards are locked away. So you're just and then second of all, the prices are obviously so high. You're just chasing this crazy mountain. It's just almost impossible.
It is. But guys are finding creative ways. Guys are definitely finding creative. But even, this speaks to a question we have coming up. But even if, you somehow hit on a great talent, I know a couple of guys made a lot of money buying Trae Young base cards for $1 a pop Prism. Great PSA 10s. And they just made tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But even still, let's say you came up on 30K. You can get yourself a Giannis Prism Silver PSA 10.
Yeah, that's what that was my point. It's I don't think making the money is terribly difficult for people coming in right now. I think it's the acquiring of the really, if you're coming in as someone that's I want to build the best LeBron PC, it's oh my gosh, you have so many people to go through to get those cards, and you have to have so much money to pull it away from them, and you got to find rare pieces to trade with them. It's just a really tough climb to get those ultra rare pieces.
Indeed. David says, sometimes I zag so hard that I have to hold longer until it's gone. Can get frustrated and sell too early.
Nice.
Indeed. Flip to get your grail and hold, says Audio Deluxe 7. I like that approach.
Way to do it.
Indeed. Flip by Trout, flip by LeBron, flip by Mahomes, says Fresh Be Ballin' Sports Cards.
I like it.
Carbon says, or get into exquisite cards. He knows a little something about the origins of those. Yes, he does. 2003 LeBron James Topps Chrome PSA 10 climbing the ladder, says Bo Saki. Dude, yes, it is, which is unbelievable. And we excluded a few of the extreme outlier sales that we couldn't verify. Even excluding them, that card, and it is at an average price about $12,000. Is at number 21, I think, on the ladder right now, and it's good for number 2 on our player chart, looking at all the players' key iconic card. Dude, that card is just unstoppable. Davis is 100%. Josh, 2004-05, what's the best 2004-2005 LeBron to cop? Do you have an opinion on that, Josh? The best second-year LeBron?
His second year limited logos exquisite is really nice. His Topps Chrome is nice. I have the gold refractor of that. I really like those. Those are kind of what I focus on anyways, but both of those are really strong cards. His second year exquisite stuff is really cool.
For sure. Willie Parrish says, what's up, guys? What's up, Willie? David says, I feel like kabooms and downtowns are sick and criminally cheap. You're not alone in that belief. Willie Parrish says Kaboom or Genesis. I think the jury is still out on Genesis. I'd want to see a little more market activity, a little more separation from release temporally before I would weigh in on that one. when do NFL players other than QBs start climbing? I think it's already happening. I think it is already happening, sir.
Are we seeing a climb with like some of the wide receivers? Someone was asking me about like Julio Jones and Michael Thomas. I haven't seen much talked about those two kind of guys, like really high end fantasy receivers and running backs.
It is happening. Like so Brian added some Christian McCaffrey cards to Card Ladder, and I started looking at it, and I was like, "Oh, this is crazy!" Like he's ranking in the 50s right now, which is extremely difficult to rank that high. So that's very impressive. We need to get some Julio Jones, some of these higher end receiver guys, like you said, on here, see how they're doing. But I want to send a shout out to the Stacking Slabs podcast because he's been talking about this. He's been saying like, dude, wide receivers, running backs, like, man, these guys are pennies on the dollar compared to QBs. And like, a lot of people are zagging hard like that against the conventional hobby wisdom, which says like quarterbacks do well. And there's like deep reasons for that. It's because the quarterback is always the focus of the play. It's, it's not like it's an arbitrary reason why this hobby wisdom that is held up for decades, like exists, I understand people want to come in and remake the hobby. I get that.
Yeah.
And maybe they will, but just don't just throw out all the hobby wisdom just right away as we're bringing in new approaches.
Yeah, there are pretty strong foundational reasons that receivers and running backs don't tend to do as well, and it's that they hit their walls really quick. Like they'll go from an MVP season and 2 years later be like looking for a job. It happens all the time. I was like building a Todd Gurley PC because I was like, dude, this is so cheap. I was getting like rookie gold prisms for like $60 at a 10. And it was like, why is this so cheap? And then, he's like winning the offensive MVP. And then all of a sudden, like, he's basically cut. Now he's on the Falcons. There's zero hype now. And it just happens really quick. Quarterbacks have a longer shelf life. They degrade slower than these other guys because they just take beatings. Receivers, there could be an argument for receivers, like I've always thought Larry Fitzgerald was cheap. The guy's like number 2 in every category all time. Hasn't won a Super Bowl, but he's been to a Super Bowl and just, a really great guy on and off the field. Fitzgerald seems like a really great option for a receiver. Julio Jones has proven it year over year. He's a really great long-term guy who hasn't really seen much of a downgrade in talent or skill. Michael Thomas looks to have some staying power. McCaffrey worries me, man. Those guys are like giving him the ball like every play. Like eventually he's going to wear down.
Yep, that's one bad injury away from an entire card market collapsing. That concerns me greatly as well. That's why, just have fun with that kind of PC. And if there's an upside to it, great. If not, like, you've been warned. Let's see here. Jordan says it's hard to wean a crackhead off of crack. I'm missing the context there, but I think that's a generally true statement. Carvin says, how did a Canadian design the most iconic basketball cards? Carvin is on one tonight, dude. Shout out to Carvin, man. You are a GOAT and a legend. Christina says she's adding some Hockey Young Guns to the ladder right now. Yes, she is. What's up, Hawaii action figure guy? Aloha. Okay, or just get filthy rich. That's always a good play there. Rodman says you got to become a sniper to get the grails. Talk about that for a second, man. How did you're sitting on grails, a ton of them. What did it take to get those grails? Do you have to be a sniper? How do you maneuver to get those really big iconic cards?
Overpay. I don't know that I've ever sniped anything big because I think if something big like that is going to come up for sale, it's not going to be some ding dong posting it underpriced or. It's usually going to be like a really long, drawn-out process where the person that has it really doesn't want to sell it. They want top dollar. And what works for me is I just offer more than what they think it's worth, or what it's worth.
Yeah, that's my experience as well.
It's the tried and true. It's like something's worth $15,000 or something. I'll just offer like 18. It's like, it's not ridiculously over. It's enough for them to be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sniping. You sniping PMG championships, Rodman? You
No,
sniped that one?
no, he's not. See, what he's trying to do is he's trying to throw everybody off the trail so that he can keep using his back channels. Rodman, one of the most connected guys in the hobby, easily making his moves. No, it's the same for me. Like, patience helps, and overpaying seals the deal.
Navy SEAL sniper. He's saying be like quiet and behind the scenes and wait, be patient. I see what he's saying. Navy SEAL type shit, not bid sniping. Okay. Well, sniping in card terms is like you're sitting around waiting for someone to post something and then jump in and steal it.
Pretty much. Yep. Pretty much. Which can work too if, the card happens to show up at public auction. But like we were talking today, Josh, like the more valuable and desired a card becomes, the less likely we are to ever see it hit the public market.
Yeah. I was thinking about that more. And when you and I came in 2016, there was a certain set of cards that like were not coming out into public. And I would imagine before we came in, those cards were available. And then since we've joined, there's cards that we used to see sell in 2016 that don't sell anymore. And it just seems like over time, it's just as the market goes up, it's just getting harder and harder to see those real type grail. Like when I first joined, I never saw LeBron RPA or LeBron rookie gold refractors, but I saw a ton of PSA 10 refractors, black refractors, X refractors. Everyone had them. They were everywhere. I could have got one many times. His Ultimate Collection, SP Authentic rookies were readily available under 5K all over the place. Now it's like you see one and it's like, holy crap, one of those is for sale again? Oh my gosh.
Dude, that is so true. As the market goes up and like cards bump up a tier and they bump up a value class, people hold on to them tighter and tighter, and they get put and locked away into vaults and PCs, and it just becomes harder and harder to find them. And so like one of the things I take away from what you just said is like, if you've got a grail in your sights, a grail for you, and like they're available right now, do not bank on them always being available, because they might not be. So, okay, we have first off the lines is finally able to catch you guys on live. Love hearing your inputs. Thank you, John. How's it going, man? Hope to see you at Burbank sometime soon, man. Maybe even see you at a show tomorrow. Thoughts on the Topps Trout card where he is wearing an N95 mask? I do not have any thoughts on that one right now. Carbon says, when buying NFL, buy Rice, Montana, Aikman, and Barry Sanders. See, and that's an interesting layout because you got a wide receiver, 2 quarterbacks, and a running back. Mahomie Card says, what happens if Trout or a starting quarterback opts out of the season? You got any thoughts on that? If one of the big superstars opts out of the season, like Trout or, one of the big QBs?
I would expect to see a lot of their stuff be sold out of frustration and prices to go down.
Lori Collector says, you guys also forget NFL overseas market is
Yeah, it's true.
That is true.
I mean, that's why only quarterbacks have any value, because there's just not enough money to go around for everybody. There's not enough people in the hobby collecting football.
Very true. Power Wheel says you got to be careful with quarterbacks that run a lot. Ross says that's what makes football brutal. It's a few all-time quarterbacks, long run, perhaps moves in between, but that's about it. Jordan says that was in regards to Josh selling his collection but still wanting to buy cards again quickly. Okay, I got you. Do y'all have to personally add cards to the ladder? Yes, we do, but we have a research team. But we do it carefully. We measure twice and we cut once. So when we build a card's profile, the statistics, the all-time sales history are reliable, and then we automatically track them and vet sales that come in every day when we scrape. Robinson, right? Real sniper. I'm just catching up here. Carbon says, can I ask a favor? You might send a DM to whomever you would like to ask the favor of, please. Is that Luka absolute memorabilia? Can't make it out through the glare. I don't know, man. It might be.
What?
It might be the absolute memorabilia right there. Blinding 90 is a guy who knows this very well. Judging by his collection, judging by his profile pictures, is overpaid. You have to. It will eventually catch up. Indeed. Doobie Collects says, thoughts on Deshaun Watson? His stats are identical to Mahomes. He's been a top 3 quarterback every year. Why is he so undervalued?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I mean, he's not winning as much. Obviously, he doesn't have a good supporting cast, as good of a supporting cast. His coach is horrible. He just traded away his best receiver. There's a few reasons, obviously. That kind of speaks to something interesting that holds true in professional sports. But the difference between great and legendary is really not that big of a gap. And it just takes that tiny little edge, that tiny little bit of extra something to put you over the top and really make you stand out. We see that in a lot of things where, at that level of professional sports, they're all incredible athletes. They're all top of their class. There's just a few guys that stand out above everyone else, and they do it in pretty minor ways. It's not like, obviously you have like your GOATs that stand out a lot more than others, but Watson, yeah, I mean, his stats are pretty similar to Mahomes, but, he's not winning Super Bowls and he's not throwing for 50 touchdowns and throwing sidearm passes, no look. Like, he doesn't quite have that little extra bit that Mahomes definitely has.
Well said. Well said. And with that said, one of my best hobby buds, Josh Keane, is huge on Watson. He's got 6 of his camo out of 25 Prism rookies. He's trying to collect all 25 of them. If you have one, he will buy it from you. So, there are Watson guys out there. And yeah, man, one nice, deep playoff run from Watson, and it's a game changer, I think, for him. But, people are kind of worried about the Texans too, right? Like with some of the offseason moves that they've made.
Yeah, they just don't have he doesn't have the right franchise. Like, I just don't see how it's going to work for them. They literally traded away his best weapon for, like, not much. I don't understand what they were thinking. I'll gladly take it. The Cardinals are my team, and we got one of the best receivers in the NFL for Kyler Murray to grow and get better. It just doesn't seem like a good structure in place for him. And Mahomes is like locked in for 10 years. They've got one of the best coaches. They got some of the best weapons in the NFL. They're signing guys on defense. They're committed to the team. The Texans seem like a mess.
There you have it. Okay. Freshby Ballin says Watson is a beast. Yeah,
he's a great player.
He is. Natty Card says Russell Wilson is the undervalued quarterback in the league. Josh has talked about this for like 3 weeks in a row now. I'm not sure, man, if you had tuned in earlier or not, but yeah, we've been mentioning Russell Wilson a bit. And Aaron Rodgers is another quarterback we've been mentioning, in some ways the original prototype or the mold from which Mahomes has taken that baton and gone further with it. Rodgers cards are doing very well right now. We started tracking them not long ago, and his tops rookie is doing extremely well. Good guy to keep an eye on there card wise. Jordan says, Watson just doesn't win like Mahomes. I mean, he wins. They get to the playoffs, but the point is well taken. He's not a Super Bowl MVP. Not as sexy as Mahomes and Lamar on the field. Carbon says hype is what creates value. Like Westbrook and his triple doubles, says Ludicrous Cards. Coach sucks. Yeah, that's a problem for the Texans, I think. Carbon says Texans are defensive-minded. Offensive players will not hold more value. That's true. 8 Everlast 24 says one word, chemistry. I think that's well said. Yeah, Stacks of Wax, I agree. They gave away the best wide receiver for nothing. Kansas City is building to win long term. Well, yeah, they are. And, they just put their money where their mouth is. Okay, a very lively chat as always. I've been able to get to 2 questions that people had prepared for us, and I have about 20 here. Let me just see if I can kind of rifle through some of these questions here. 8 Everlast says Rodgers at 36 is still a top 3 to 4 quarterback. Yes, he is. And you know what? He made a deep playoff run last year with nothing, with no supporting cast for the most part, with a new coach that he was still learning and clicking with, and who they still might not completely be on the same page, going to your point about chemistry. And they made it to the NFC Championship game last year. Now, they were never going to beat the 49ers, but nonetheless, Rodgers is a lot of fun. I wouldn't mind owning a nice Aaron Rodgers card myself. Shoot. Okay. I'm trying to get to a question here, but the comments keep coming. Bosaki says, I snagged an 18 Luka Prism Purple Ice Gem Mint a couple of months ago. Price is skyrocketing. Would you buy, sell, or hold? Let me give an answer to that. I just sold about $40,000 worth of Lukas last month. So, and I obviously still have some of my favorite Lukas in the collection, in me and Christina's collection. But I don't know. Yeah, I think selling is you couldn't go wrong selling right now. You could do even better if you hold and the Mavericks somehow pull out a miracle in the playoffs. And I don't know how long-term oriented you are, but it's never a bad option to lock in some nice profits when a market based on speculation is surging right now. Rodgers, yep. Okay. All right. So here's a question from CardBoss713, and it's a question up my alley, so that's why I like it. He says, is the Jordan market holding? Are there buying opportunities? And I don't know, because like the Noise Boys insert just sold a 9 and a BGS and a PSA slab, both sold for over $7,000. So any like post Last Dance cool off has not happened in the more highly sought after Jordan cards, man. I don't really know if there is a Jordan buying opportunity right now. I don't know if there ever is a Jordan buying opportunity on the big cards. I think sometimes you just have to get ready to pay an all-time high and just enjoy the card. So that's what I have to say on that. Power Wheels says, how will the Tom Brady card market hold up over the next 10 to 15 years? And he says, like, will it do like the Jordan market 10 to 15 years after Jordan retired? What do you think about the Brady market 10 to 15 years from now, Josh?
It's going to be incredibly strong. He's probably, going to be retiring soon as the best player potentially of all time. I don't see any issue with Brady in the next 10 to 15 years. Probably one of the strongest markets you'll see.
Yeah, and one great indicator for his market is that it has, like, there has been a boom for all-time greats and prospects, but for all-time greats over the last 3 months. And, Shaquille O'Neal has been a huge beneficiary, his card market over the last 3 months. LeBron, Jordan, Jeter, Griffey, Barry Sanders, all the all-time greats have seen a boom. And you know what? Brady has too, right alongside all of them. His Bowman Chrome just added a bunch more grades of that card to Card Ladder today, and it blew my mind to see the huge surge that iconic Brady rookie card has experienced over the last 3 months. Now, of course, there is some speculation built into that, right? Because he's going to a new team. They got a lot of weapons down there in Tampa Bay. People are excited about them. So I get it. It's not just his legacy that's propelling his prices right now. There's some speculation too about how he's going to perform this year. But the one word of caution I have is that a lot of guys like Jordan cards, like I just talked about Noise Boys going for $7K. Well, back in 2004, which is about 15, 16 years ago now, that card was $70. 70. You could buy a raw copy of that card on eBay. I have the historical sales data right in front of me right now. You could buy it for $70. So when you're talking about post-retirement Jordan, you are talking about returns on a parabolic scale. And that is not going to happen, I don't think, because money just reaches a limit. I don't think that's going to happen with a lot of guys who are super high priced right now. You're not going to see from 70 to 7K. You're not going to see that type of return. So I would caution. I think Jordan is a unicorn because of the way that the hobby ebbed and flowed and how it tied in with his career. But like, will it be a strong market? Will it keep pushing up? Will people desire his cards? Like, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, we got some questions flowing in here. Carvin says, I'd rather buy MJ slow and steady. I mean, you will not get a disagreement from me. Rock Nation Cards says still no Jay-Z on Card Ladder. Nope, not yet. But who knows with the way cards are. I was telling everyone 3 to 4 months ago about Brady Bowman refractors. They were the most undervalued cards out. Carvin says, I don't trust Luka. He is injury prone. The Mavs play him so little, yet he gets injured. Christina is not pleased about that. Barrett Collector says, my fellow Arizonian Josh knows what's up with Kyler. He's about to blow up. Just got a top 3 wide receiver in Fitzgerald. Is about to be single covered all year. Carvin says the best QB coming out is Trevor Lawrence. Ooh, okay. We shall see about that. All right, guys, that's bringing us up to it's coming up on 10 o'clock here.
We're late though. We got 10 more minutes.
Okay, good. Okay. Nice looking cardboard says, are we going to go live with the opening of Christina's Court King's gift? Maybe if I had like a better setup to open it with. I don't think so.
We also have a status box from my birthday.
We do?
That needs to be open, so we might have to go live.
Carvin says he's sorry, by the way.
It's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. It might be wrong, but you're entitled to it.
Find your best question. Get one more question in.
Here's an interesting question. It's extremely practical, but I think especially like newer guys need to hear the answer to this. Old boy Mike Ryan says, popular group subs for grading versus doing it yourself. Which way do you do it?
For the more bulk type stuff that I'm like grading and flipping, and I don't really care too much about how long it takes, or I'm just sort of like grading it just to make money on it. I usually do group subs for that, and then for my own personal stuff, I do it myself. I guess may seem kind of silly because groups might as well just group sub everything. I just feel like I just rather do it myself on some of like my own PC cards, and I send it straight to PSA or BGS on the higher level services, so I get it back faster. I go all out on the shipping, and I usually only send 1 or 2 cards at a time in those cases. But the bulk stuff, I'll just send it to my subgroup, and then let them handle the bulk and having to go through and punch everything in. But if it's just like 1 or 2 high-end PC cards, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, same way. You can also get a better rate, generally speaking, when you're doing a group sub. So if you've got a bunch of cards in the declared value range, which usually is like, depending upon the turnaround time, it's like below $500 or below $100 declared value. If you got a bunch of cards in that value, you want to grade them for the cheap. Definitely makes sense. It makes sense to do those through a group sub. And, just respect your group subber. I think like that's a great lesson, is just know that individual deals with a lot of crap all the time. And, just be cognizant of that. But, group subs can be a great way to go. And you can learn a lot too by doing group subs, because you can see like what cards are other people subbing and stuff like that. So like getting involved with a group sub is a great idea, but also you need to be really patient when you deal with group subs, because a lot of times you're not dealing with guaranteed turnaround times. And you know what? That's been a blessing in disguise for me. Having my group subs take like 3 to 4 to 5 months through PSA to pop, because the cards have gone up like 3x from what they would have been had I gotten them on time and sold them right when I got them. Yeah. So, just a couple of tips there on how to, work within the group sub situation. Doobie Collects this is a great question too. What's the best way to sell a high valued card while avoiding high fees and scammers?
PWCC or private.
Exactly. I would say PWCC.
I'll never sell a high-end card not through myself, because I know someone who wants it and I have the connection and I am able to sell it myself, either in person or wire or whatever, or PWCC. There's not even like a thought.
Yeah. And it speaks to the fact that it can be a little difficult to sell super high end, super nice cards.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, even for guys like us that have pretty decent network and following, it's still tough. Like, because a lot of times you're just going to find like everyone that wants to buy less than market so that they can sell it for more. That's usually how it goes. It's really hard to connect a card with someone who wants to pay, full value, someone that wants it in their collection. It's usually hard to match that up to someone.
It is. It is, and if it's a grail type of item, you don't want to choke off the amount of eyeballs you can get it in front of, because the worldwide buyer base for grails is extremely strong. So, tracking Michael Jordan cards over the years, I've seen so many of them go to international homes, whether it's like Rodman in Honduras, whether it's the great collectors in the Philippines, in South Korea, in Japan, in China, in Australia. Like, these cards end up going all over the world, and like, you never know what the buyer base is for a card unless you can kind of let that card test the market and go to auction. And like PWCC, they're just an auction house, but what they have going for them is that they've got some really strong policies and procedures in place to protect buyers and sellers. So they have a good international trust built up when it comes to selling super high-end cards. And they're very responsive too. So when people show evidence of a card that's been trimmed or altered, PWCC takes it down. If an item doesn't get paid for, PWCC removes it from their auction database. They do an admirable job of trying to be as transparent as you can be and trying to solve big problems. And I'm not saying they've solved them, but they try to. So take that for what it's worth, but that's my advice. Lori Collector says a card ladder vouch system / list premium package. That is a great foreshadowing topic there of perhaps something to come. Carvin hits us with a trivia question. He says, name the first ever RPA cards in cards, the year, the sport, the brand, and the subjects. 3 players. Let's see if anyone can answer it. The first ever RPA cards. I have no idea. Good luck to the chat on that one. 8 Everlast 24 says PWCC also has bidding restrictions for high end and check who's bidding. Yeah, that's good when they do that. That's obviously helpful. We've seen shenanigans get pulled a number of times. A couple more questions we had come in. Cardbohydrate says, what are your thoughts on blockchain cards? You got any thoughts on blockchain cards?
Yeah, hard pass.
Hard pass, indeed. What is a blockchain card? On a fundamental level, you have to ask that question. What is a block? Is just an idea, something digital? Okay, some more questions we had here. Jake from 90s Baseball Card said content creators, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's all he said. Do you have any thoughts on that?
No comment. We have 20 seconds.
That great episode. See you guys next week.
See ya.
The future is here. An innovation that will change the way the industry works. A Hot 100 chart, updated daily. The most accurate price guide on the market. Every card has its own profile with a wealth of information. Know the precise, real-time value of any card in the system. On demand. You now have the power to unlock the secrets of the hobby.